Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome in. I hope everybody is having a good holiday season so far. However it is you choose to celebrate or don't, just make sure that you're spending time with all of your favorite things, your favorite food, your favorite people, your favorite music, and definitely take the time to look at the weather. The weather in the wintertime is some of my favorite. It definitely fosters inward reflection and coziness and spending time with loved ones, of course. I thought I'd take a few minutes over this holiday season to talk about a few of my favorite things when it comes to each sign in the zodiac. Now, remember, these are by no means comprehensive. I just wanted to do a brief little fun thing so we can focus on a few of my favorite things. So I'll focus on some of my favorite aspects of each astrological sign. I'll draw a few from my favorite oracle decks. So you see my favorite things talking about my favorite thing. Let's get into it, everyone. In this video, I'm going to do from Capricorn to Gemini, and then I'll do another video from Gemini to Sagittarius. All right, let's start off with Capricorn, my Cappy friends. All right, happy birthday to those of you who have already celebrated. We're right at the beginning of your season, but still. And happy birthday to those of you where it's still to come. All right, Cappy. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Everybody knows I've done enough Saturn videos on my channel. Saturn is a very difficult planet to navigate, but I call it the great alchemizer because the harder you work, the greater the rewards. We often think in astrology that each sign is fully embodying the principle of that sign. So for Capricorn, it would be things like ambition, discipline, hard work, structure, all of those things. But actually, those things simultaneously are the lesson for Capricorn and correspondingly each sign to embody in their life. It is their lesson to learn, to master, and to offer out to the collective. So Capricorn ruled by Saturn often brings about a very challenging early childhood. Because Saturn is such a serious planet and everything is taken seriously, Capricorns in early childhood are often in positions where they're expected to be a lot more mature than their age may indicate, or their capability even. But because they are very responsibility-oriented people, and as a sign, they tend to energetically take it on. So there can be a little bit of a delayed childhood when it comes to Capricorns. And I do not mean that with emotional development or anything like that. It's more like being able to actually embrace things like mirth and fun and joy and lightheartedness is something that definitely comes a bit later in life for many Capricorns. And that is because of Saturn, like I said, the hard lessons learned. Saturn is also the god of time. Capricorn rules the 10th house of the zodiac. That's the house of personal achievement, outside excellence, and self-mastery. Again, remember, it's all about the achievement and the capability to achieve those principles that Capricorn is after in life. They have to do it right. They're not allowed to bend the rules. I've talked about this already in Capricorn season. But Saturn works very much like a compassionate military father who is like, if you don't learn how to if you don't learn the rules, how then, when we get to Aquarius, which is the sign after Capricorn, are we going to learn to break the rules? And Capricorn is very, very capable of working within the bounds of what's expected, but finding little ways to make it your own, to be just a little bit rebellious within that system, gearing up, of course, for Aquarius and coming off of Sagittarius energy. So there is that kind of quiet inner rebel in most Capricorns. Now, I refer to them very tenderly as my love and knife. They are my opposite sign. I absolutely love Capricorns. My favorite placement for Capricorn, astrologically speaking, would be the moon and Venus, because I love the steadying influence and the containment that's brought to those two energies, making it a lot more safe for energies like Venus and the moon to be vulnerable. So one of my favorite things about Capricorn is that even though they have a tendency to want to be very serious and stick to the rules and all of that kind of stuff, they like people who don't. They tend to, I know for myself, and I have many Capricorns in my life, always have. They like it when I am full of joy, when I am full of mirth. And it's sort of from an observational point of view, or almost like they get a contact high. And I mean that in the best way possible. They enjoy witnessing the joy in me. My grandmother was a Capricorn, and although she was quite frugal when it came to herself, she grew up during the war, even though she was quite frugal when it came to herself, when it came to me, she was like, whatever makes you happy. Like indulging me was an indulgence to her. Yes, I was very blessed that way. Capricorns are surprisingly creative. And I say surprisingly because people don't seem to credit them with that. But some of my favorite writers, artists, and musicians were Capricorns. Annie Lennox is a Capricorn. David Bowie is a Capricorn. Marilyn Manson's a Capricorn. Henry Miller, the famous American writer, one of my favorites, also a Capricorn. The creativity comes from a very deep place. Remember, Capricorn's opposite sign is Cancer. So within them, on the shadow side, they definitely have the capability of tapping into that intuitive sense. And from there, yes, Capricorns can be incredibly dreamy and very imaginative. They're also very adept at taking that creativity and applying it, turning it into a business, which is something that the opposite sign of Cancer may have a little trouble doing. They can be afraid to embrace whimsy because the price has always been very steep. And that's what I was talking about. But they generally do encourage it in other people. I had a client once who was a Capricorn man. He was the professor of psychology at the local university here. And when I would go to see him, I was cleaning for him. He was a very brilliant man, very sweet, very quiet, and very self-contained. And when I would go to clean for him, he would be at his desk working. And no matter what I did, I could dust around him, I could do the vacuum around him, whatever the case, he sat there he was writing a book on anxiety disorders. He sat there at his desk with a focus that I've rarely seen. And I'm not just talking about eyes focused, I'm talking about his entire energy was focused on his work. Capricorn is cardinal earth. They are very passionate. Again, that's kind of undersung, but they are the devil in the major arcana, much, much misused in modern tarot. The devil shows us parts of ourselves that are weak, that need to be answered to, that need to be recognized. It's very rarely, like I said, they very rarely get the credit for it. Capricorns do, and so same for the devil in the major arcana. But again, think about that military father. The purpose is so that you can ultimately be successful. Saturn in Capricorn has the capability of turning lead into gold. Next year, let's take a look at next year. Next year is a whole other ballgame for Capricorn. First of all, there's no Pluto influencing Capricorn energy, which is the first time that that is the case in 16 years. However, your ruling planet of Saturn is about to switch signs from Pisces into Aries. So that's a major shift, Cappy, that could find you in a position to be a whole lot more pursuant, a lot more risk-taking, I know, and a lot more adventurous and ambitious. Ambitious in a different way. I know Cappies are incredibly ambitious people. But yeah, no Pluto attached to any of your energy. And then we do have Pluto itself, though, in Aquarius. Now, Aquarius will also have the North Node. It is the sign after you, but it's co-ruled by your ruling planet of Saturn. So I do feel that the North Node is influencing you as well. And so is the eclipse season, which happens in Leo and Aquarius. Let's get to some of my favorite romantic matches. Now, as a romantic astrologer, I almost never factor the sun in a big way. It's part of the equation, but it's not where I go first. But I am going to say for sun signs here, my favorite matches for Capricorn are the summer babies for all of the reasons listed above. So we have Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. I find all three of those signs bring that sunny balance that Capricorn likes to bask in, but perhaps has a little bit of difficulty in embodying themselves. Also, the summer babies are very, very externally expressive for the most part. Even Virgo is in a lot of ways. And so for Capricorn, who can be quite self-contained, that brings out that side of them. It's quite a beguiling combination when you see a summer baby with a Capricorn, but I do actually see it a lot. The deepest matches in romantic relationships, and this could be said for a lot of signs, but certainly for Capricorn, the signs that take you the deepest in relationship would be Scorpio and Aquarius. Now, again, Aquarius, because they have Saturn like you do, so they understand that serious side of you. But they also have Uranus, which is about change and unexpected things and future thinking and the collective. So when we move out of the 10th house of Capricorn into the 11th house of Aquarius, we move from this is my achievements, this is my sense of self-mastery, into how now can I apply this to the collective, and how now can what I've mastered serve as a gift to my community. That's a big transition for Capricorn. One of the biggest challenges romantically, in my opinion, for Capricorn would be Libra. Now, Libra is one of your fellow cardinal signs. It is square to you. I don't know. I don't know why. Just through the years and my witnessing of different relationships, I do find that Libra and Capricorn, although there can be kind of a natural attraction because they're both cardinal signs, there can be a lot of discord as well. They tend to speak a very different language. And also Sagittarius is quite a challenge. Again, very compelling. It's the sign next to you. But Sagittarius can also be a little too will of the wisp, or I guess a little too not passionate, but just not serious enough, at least through the eyes of Capricorn. And Sagittariuses require a whole lot of independence and freedom. When it comes to romantic relationships, I find all of the cardinal signs, yourself, Capricorn, Cancer, your opposite, Libra, and Aries, are a lot more one-to-one partnership oriented than, say, the mutable signs like Sagittarius. Saggy can be a little unpredictable, a little, let's see how it goes for Capricorn energy. All right, that's what I have for you, Capricorn. I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season. Let's move on to Aquarius. Aquarius. I call Aquarius the mysterious magnet. Well, that's how I feel about them anyway. You know, to me, Aquarius is always that kind of quiet, mysterious stranger over in the corner of a party, watching everybody and saying nothing, but definitely observing everybody, like the whole environment, the interactions. Aquarius is fixed air, incredibly intelligent, incredibly astute, and very good at spotting social patterns and things like that. Ruled by Saturn and Uranus. So Aquarius carries with it the vision of change and the need to make change and to make things better. That's Aquarius energy, and to make things more unilaterally fair in the collective. But it carries with it the weight and the lessons of Saturn. It's by no means easy to be an Aquarius because of that combination. But also Aquarius is the water bearer. It is the last of the personal signs before we get to Pisces, which is the last sign, and we move into transpersonal experiences. So when we get to Aquarius, it's the culmination of all of the emotional lessons of the zodiac up to that point. So Aquarius is tasked with carrying all of that, and also they understand the weight of emotion and relationships. They understand the importance of it. So a lot of Aquariuses can be termed as being kind of remote, but really it is because of that awareness of how serious emotional interactions are. Most Aquarians I know have incredibly long-term and dedicated friendships in their life. When it comes to relationships, friendship and partnership is number one for Aquarius. It has to start there, and everything else comes from that place of trust and mutual understanding. Okay, They're surprisingly earthy, again, fixed air, but because they carry Saturn and that Capricornian energy, again, a lot of Aquarians I know are engaged in very earthy work. I happen to know a lot that are like carpenters and mechanics and things like that. But I also know a lot of Aquarians who are involved in technology in a big way. Aquarius is in charge of technology, Uranus, right? They're very cerebral. They're hard to truly know. Aqua thinks they think they're hard to know too. So they keep people at arm's length because they tend to operate on the assumption that, well, I'm never truly going to be known anyway. So they have this sense of knowing, but not being known. And it can be a lonely soul inside of an Aquarius. It can be hard to find in there, not the soul itself, but the match for it. Because it's such a broad spectrum of different aspects. It's a very interesting sign for me. Now, I have 3 placements in Leo in my own chart, which is the opposite sign of Aquarius. So I do find Aquarius is incredibly inscrutable. However, like I said, there is that magnetic pull because they're so interesting to me and they always have the best stories. Capable of being very disciplined. Again, they're carrying Saturn with them. But even more so than Capricorn, they can embrace the inner rebel. Darn it, I forgot to draw the cards for Capricorn. I'm going to do that. I'll go back, Kathy. Anyway, the challenge for Aquarius can be to assert your sense of self-definition. Because again, the 11th house is like, we're kind of all the same. That's what makes us all different. Aquarius can be challenged to embody that Leo energy within them and put themselves forward into the middle of a crowd, engaging one-on-one passionately and saying, look at me, everybody. Aquarius is the star in the major arcana versus the sun, which is Leo energy. So you can see the difference. The light of the star is very elusive, but again, very beguiling and mysterious. They're independent, but like I said, they have very long-term friendships. Once Aquarians establish that sense of trust with you, then they don't necessarily need to be in your life on a daily basis or calling you every day or you calling them and how are you doing? It's not like that with an Aquarius. But once there's that deep-rooted sense of trust, then you are friends for life. They have that with Capricorn is involved too. One of my best friends is a male Aquarius, going back 27 years. And for me, it's always so interesting. We live in the same city, which is a big city. We rarely ever talk, but we always happen upon each other every 6 months or so. In the most surprising of places, my friend Mark will just pop up. I'll be at the store or at a coffee shop, and all of a sudden I hear his voice behind me, or just driving down, like all the time, just out of nowhere comes my friend. And it's like we never had any time apart and we have our moments and we chat and then gone. And who knows when I'll see him again, but I always know that I will. Next year, oh my gosh, Aquarius, next year is one of the biggest years for you. First of all, Pluto moved into your sign at the beginning of this year. I'm sure you're well aware of that. Pluto is going to stay in your sign for the next 20 years, and it brings about massive change on a very deep level. It's very slow and it unrolls over time, but it's like total transformation when we have Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto is also a generational planet every 20 years. So that energy affects the collective. And Aquarius energy is setting the tone for the general collective, especially since next year, the North and South Node, our collective soul's trajectory on this planet, is in your sign in Leo. South Node in Leo, North Node in Aquarius. So the North Node is the energy pulling us forward. So Aquarius, your unique vision of how to do tradition differently. And I've said this before with Aquarius, never is it about throwing it all out. It's about reconfiguring it and saying, how can this work in the collective in a better way, in a more fair and unilateral way? The North and South Node in your signs, the eclipses of the moon in your Leo, and Pluto in your sign. Next year, Aquarius is just a major turning point, not just probably in your personal life, but also in the collective at the hands of Aquarian energy. Some of my favorite matches for Aquarius romantically, first of all, Cancer. Now that's surprising. Cancer is not the opposite sign of Aquarius. It is the opposite of Capricorn, but principally energetically speaking, to me, it is the opposite of Aquarius in pretty much every way. And there is a strange symbiosis. I do have a lot of Aquarian friends, and somehow we just have an inner acceptance or understanding of the soul of the other person. I'm telling you, the minute I meet an Aquarius and our eyes meet, we tend to know each other right away. And there's already this sort of sense of trust that is in there. Cancerians are able to suss out that elusive, emotional, hidden part of Aquarius. And Aquarians can foster the kind of strange, a wild part of Cancer, and it definitely is there. I also like Libra for Aquarius because I find that it makes for a very balanced connection. We're dealing with two air signs, so it can be very cerebral. Yes, lots of conversations, but they tend to have a lot of mutual respect for each other as well. And friendship based, like I said. I'm going to give Leo an honorable mention there. Your exact opposite sign, Aquarius, Leo can bring out, like I said, that other side of you, the performer. And it is there. Aquarians can be very creative and expressive. And being around Leo energy, they can see it in you. And it tends to sort of bring that out. One of my favorite images is a Leo and Aquarius going to a party together. And like I said, Aquarius is that quiet stranger over in the corner that everyone wants to talk to, but they carry this air of magnetic mystery. Leo is in the center of the crowd, generally speaking, uplifting the crowd by being right in the middle and shining the light. They both kind of serve a similar purpose in a different way. Deep connections, Scorpio again, well, it's probably going to appear in everybody's sign, but Scorpio, because Scorpio is ruled by Mars, but also by Pluto. And Pluto and Uranus have a fun relationship. They really do. But it can be challenging because Scorpio, they definitely do want deep, connected emotion. I mean, they want soul level love connections. And Aquarians tend to be a little bit more freedom oriented than that. They don't necessarily want to be in that deep of a tie emotionally or psychically with another person. And that can definitely happen when Aquarius and Scorpio come together. It's very deep, it's very sexy, but it can have that feeling of not being able to get free that Aquarius is dead set against. I also like Capricorn for Aquarius for reasons listed before, because it has that Saturnian energy, and so do you. So there is a recognition of, first of all, difficult early childhoods. Aquarians often have kind of unusual early childhoods. Oftentimes there can be adoption, there can be a lot of moving, things like that. Good. Okay. A challenge, Taurus. I always see Taurus as the biggest challenge for Aquarius. It is your fellow fixed sign, but it's fixed earth. And so there's a conservatism or a traditionalism when it comes to Taurus that kind of rubs Aquarius the wrong way a lot of the time, and vice versa. Squares in astrology, which you are square to Taurus, can be challenging, but it can also foster us to take a look at parts of ourselves that aren't being answered to. I'm going to put Leo there too. So it's in the best and the worst for obvious reasons. It is, again, your opposite sign. All right. I'm going to draw your oracle cards, Aquarius, and then Capricorn. I'll timestamp your oracle cards and I'll draw those for you. I'm so sorry, my friends. All right, Aquarius, let's get you some oracles. Let's see what's going on for you. I'm going to get an astrology card for you. Now, this is for 2026. We're just going to generally look at some of the overall influences for Aquarius. Look what you get. You get Cancer energy. Isn't that funny? It is one of my favorite matches for you, even though it's surprising. A lot of Aquarians actually have Cancer in your chart. Now, because I said what I said about being the water bearer and quietly understanding the emotional process of people, well, you would do so for Cancer, and furthermore, be able to bring a sense of calm to a Cancerian. Next year, you could have an important Cancer relationship in your life. Okay. Let's do a sacred rebel. This is kind of an overall spiritual message guiding you through next year, Aquarius. What do we have? Cancer also rules the house, the home. So for a lot of Aquarians, there can be a thing about finding home next year. The word wants to be written at Aquarius. Now, for some of you, you could literally be planning to write. You could be planning to write a book or some kind of memorial or some kind of, like, a lot of Aquarians are discovering a more spiritual aspect in them next year. And that can be bringing about the Cancerian energy too. You could be looking at writing a book about your experiences. Again, Aquarians have a lot of travel experiences and often quite unusual. But anyway, next year, the word wants to be written. Interesting. Okay, let's get a true love card. Let's take a look at your love life next year, Aquarius. What do we have for Aquarius next year when it comes to love? We have worthiness. So this could be you discovering your own self-worth through a process of looking at everything that you've been through, all the value that you've gained, all your life experience. But also, it's interesting. She's looking at her reflection in that looking pool there, and she looks like a princess. She's wearing a crown. It doesn't match what she looks like now, but this is about you discovering a different part of yourself next year. It can be about you bringing that sense of self-worth up. We have the sacred woman, beautiful, divine feminine energy, Aquarius. Okay, let's do, so you could be having a relationship in the next year where that really brings out, where this person really sees your worthiness, Aqua. Let's get you a major arcana from my majors only deck. What do we have for Aquarius? We have the Emperor. Interesting, because we had the sacred woman, divine feminine, and the Emperor is divine masculine, Aquarius. You could be meeting your true match next year. But for a lot of you too, it can be embracing that sacred woman part of you, male or female, the divine feminine within. The Emperor is about taking dominion over your life and reclaiming that sense of worthiness. Interesting. All right, let's do a couple of talisman. Consider these to be like code words that you can take away from the reading with you, if they resonate, of course. These can kind of be like power words for next year, Aquarius. We have karmic justice, getting what you deserve and seeing that with worthiness. Now, karmic justice is much different than justice. Libra energy is justice. Karmic justice is scorpionic, and it's about what's actually true and fair down to the soul. There's two scarab beetles in this picture. And what is that legend? When you die, they weigh your soul against a scarab beetle. And if it's heavier, then you don't get into heaven, whatever. But that's karmic justice. It's in the soul. And this is saying you're getting what you deserve next year. Scorpio energy, rebirth and karmic justice. And maybe that's because Pluto is in your sign, Aquarius. All right, Aqua, that's what I have for you. Let me put these away, and I will timestamp this for you, Cappy. And we'll take a look at what's happening for you. I am so sorry. Okay. Capricorn. Let's get you a star codes. Let's see. For my Capricorn friends, what do we have? This could be astrological energy present in your chart. It could be someone around you. We have the Vesta. That's the fire within, Capricorn. But it always reminds me of the Four of Wands in tarot, right? Look at all those pillars. in the center, there is the eternal flame. So you could be recapturing that sense of inner passion. A lot of Capricorns are discovering once more who they truly are, like going back to childhood once more. I mentioned in your little profile there that a lot of Capricorns have challenging early childhoods. And so that inner flame has to be kind of tampered down. But this is you anchoring it and discovering that it never went away. Can be about you too, finding your sense of home. We have your house with the 10th house on the bottom of the deck, Cappy, house of personal achievement. And for a lot of you, it can be going back to true gifts within you, going back to early childhood. We have the 2nd house, Taurus's house of how we make our money. Interesting. All right, let's get you a sacred rebel for Cappy. Come to life. That's it. The flame coming back to life inside of you. Look at her. She's in black and white, but she's painting herself back to life again. And I love that there's a curious little monkey there with her, curious about what is burning within you and what you can create from that. This is reinvention. This year is a 9-year Capricorn, which brings an end or a culmination. Next year is number 10. That's the Wheel of Fortune in the Major Arcana. It's my let go or be dragged card. It's destiny being activated. How beautiful for you. What did I do? Did I do a Major Arcana? I did. Let's get you a Majors only. Influencing Capricorn. You get 2. We get the Fool. Yes, come to life. Aries energy, interesting, right? Your fellow cardinal. And next year, Saturn, your ruling planet, moves into Aries. But the Fool is all about taking a leap of faith on yourself, not just on the universe, but on yourself. You found this new part of you, that flame within. And this is you saying, I'm going to take a leap into it and see what I can make of this. We have the Devil. There you are, Cappy, right? Again, the Devil is very misunderstood in tarot. First of all, everybody who draws the Devil when they draw tarot is like, oh, it's the Devil, it's toxic, is this? No, the Devil is simply there to show you where you got to work harder, to show you the shadow within you so that it doesn't work as an undertow or against you. The Devil is passion, definitely. It's the flip side of the Lovers card. The Lovers is number 6. The Devil is number 15. 1 and 5 is 6. So we have in the spirit and in the flesh. And they do go in tandem. Capricorn is a very spiritual energy, and so is Saturn. Once more. Now, Saturn can show us the things that we keep ourselves chained to. And it's very important to note that we voluntarily keep ourselves chained to the Devil, be that things like material possessions, addictions, temptations, things like that. But once we discover our sense of personal power and that fire within, Fool, I love it. Okay, you got 2 of those. Let's get you a love card, Capricorn. I know I hear the collective sigh. But really, again, this year coming up is the first time you don't have Pluto attached to your sign. Excuse me. We have connection. Beautiful, Capricorn. I love these 2 are spending time together alone on some desert island all by themselves. There can be the Vesta, that flame within, and they're wrapped up in musical notes of harmony. It could be that you find a true connection in 2026, Cappy, one that harmonizes well with you. On the bottom of the deck, we have abundance. That fire within, that's where the abundance is going to come from. Did I miss anything? Let's get some talisman, Cappy. We have mindfulness. And we have wisdom. Both of those remind me of you big time. So wisdom comes with experience. And the last 16 years has certainly brought some wisdom to your world, Capricorn. I always find Cappies quite wise anyway. I love this. On the bottom, we have intuition, which brings in your Cancerian counterpart. Capricorns can have a very strong emotional psychic tie into the mother, for better or worse. Cancer represents the mother and is your opposite sign. All right, is that what we did? Close there? Okay. Let me put these away, and we are going to move on to Pisces. Here you go, Capricorn. I hope that was helpful. Come back to life. It is a choice, Cappy. Maybe, again, Pluto, you've probably been hiding out for quite some time. All right. Let's move on to my Pisceans, my dreamers, my poets. Pisces, the elusive seer, I call Pisces. I call them elusive because there's always this kind of hidden, dreamy part of Pisces. They are the two fish, right? One in the water, one above, one swimming this way, one swimming that way. There's a silver energy cord in traditional astrology depictions, tying those two fish together. So one very much in touch with the emotional process and earthy process, and one that's incredibly spiritual and always kind of disconnected from the physical reality that we're forced to live in. Ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. Pisces' original ruler is Jupiter, and that's all about luck and expansion and growth. Neptune can have to do with dreams and fantasies, and it is, again, a very intuitive energy. So when we put those two together, Pisces can be the luckiest planet or the luckiest sign in the whole zodiac if they choose to be, if they want to be. The thing with Neptune is that it wants to float. It's pure water. It's very dreamy, and it wants to have that kind of immersive emotional experience where it doesn't really have to make sense. It only makes sense in the energy field it's felt. In the major arcana, the High Priestess and the Hanged Man are Pisces energies, both of them about removing yourself from the physical presence of our reality to tap into a higher truth. For me, Pisces is one of the signs where the difference in the masculine and feminine expression of those two energies is incredibly different. Masculine Pisces tend to be even a lot more dreamier and a lot more driftier than the feminines, in my opinion. I won't go too far into the differences, but the expression of those two, although they are both dreamers and definitely very sensitive, very intuitive people, it can be displayed in different ways. I don't know if Pisces truly has a childhood because of what I was saying before. There is always that kind of inner world going on. And because Pisces is the intuitive of the zodiac, meaning that you intuitively absorb the emotional energies of the situations and people around you. Whether you like that or not, it's not necessarily a choice. It's almost done by osmosis. So that ability to keep yourself slightly separate is very important to a Piscean principle. One of the challenges for Pisces can be to shed the emotions of what they absorb in a day. Because again, it can happen subconsciously just as you're wandering throughout your day, which is what makes a lot of Pisceans very beautiful writers, poets, musicians, incredibly creative and artistic people by nature. They're quietly ambitious too. And a lot of people don't know this about Pisces because they're not the type to be like showing up in the middle of the meeting and asserting this and putting themselves out there in networking situations. But because of that intuition and that luck of Jupiter, Pisceans tend to follow their intuitive guidance to lead them towards the people that they meet, situations that they encounter. Again, a lot of them are incredibly lucky for Pisces. Some of the wealthiest people in our history, in our society, and in my personal life are Pisceans. And again, it happens on such a quiet, intuitive level. You really don't see it coming. Pisces challenge can be to take all of that dreaminess and intuitiveness of Neptune and apply some kind of structure or discipline to it. Pisces opposite sign is Virgo, and that is Virgo's job, Virgo's the architect, it's to architect a structure or a workable system around everything that Pisces brings to the table, which is a lot. And it can be very, very, like I said, elusive in that sense. I love Pisceans because they're very much engaged with you on an energetic level when you're spending time with them. They have a tendency of showing you the best parts of yourself. Okay. Yeah, but like I said, it can be hard for Pisceans to withdraw their energy. Also, Pisces, very psychically and emotionally tied into the mother. The 12th house contains moon energy, and the mother is the moon. So for a lot of Pisceans, there can be that strong bond, again, for better or worse, into the emotional needs of the mother. Now, I have 3 very important Piscean masculines in my life. And we have, again, that instant connection. It's like, it doesn't matter how long it's been since we've spoken, or even if we're not talking to each other right now, there's like a constant psychic dialogue with the Pisces. And just when you need them the most, your phone rings. They just seem to somehow know. And I always have this like sigh of relief when I hear from my Piscean friends, one that I didn't even know I needed. Pisces is mutable water. And so again, they can blend very well into the emotional environment of those that they're around. So it's rarely discordant when you're dealing with the Pisces that way. I mean, I guess we're focusing on my favorite things. One of the flip sides, though, of that energy can be it's difficult to emotionally detach once you're very much involved with the Piscean. Okay. Let me see if I missed anything for my Pisces. Pisces actually does benefit very well from structure in their life, especially if it's from the outside, like a very structured, scheduled job. Again, a lot of Pisceans I know are in the military, and they actually respond well to that. They have this ability of keeping themselves emotionally separate but emotionally present at the same time, even when discipline is required. Let's get to some of my favorite matches for Pisces. Libra. Libra, because they understand the dreaminess of Pisces, because they're Venusian, they're ruled by Venus, and because creatively speaking, there may not be a better match for Pisces than Libra. My favorite comedy duo is Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, and they are a Libra Pisces combination. But I see it a lot, definitely in performances. And Pisces, you can be very, very artistic and performance oriented. But I like Libra in every way for Pisces. They can bring a balancing calm as well to the situation. I also like Sagittarius for Pisces, your fellow mutable. It is a fire sign. But again, Sagittarius is well willing to go on any kind of adventure that the Piscean imagination can put into the picture, whether it's just in the imagination or actually, again, creatively. Sagittarians are able to transmute Pisces dreams into actionable things, into adventures, into creations. It's quite a beautiful energy, and I find that they inspire each other a lot as well. There's somewhat of a natural symbiosis. Again, even though Pisces and Sag is square to each other, for the depth in relationships, that deep emotional contact, well, you can't do any better than a Cancer Pisces. It is the most similar to you energetically, but also, again, there's just that natural symbiotic flow, and it can go deeper and deeper and deeper. Again, the hardest part can be getting out or detaching. I like Capricorn for Pisces too. It's not what you'd automatically think about, but Pisces brings a dreaminess to Capricorn that they very much appreciate, and also a sense of unconditional love. And that so much is what Capricorn craves, because it's very difficult to permeate the heart of a Capricorn, but once you do, you're in forever. And Pisces is capable of doing that. Conversely speaking, Capricorn can bring that much needed consistency, safety, and structure into the life of a Piscean. Challenging relationships would be Virgo, your opposite sign, probably for the reasons that it actually works well for you as well. And it can, Pisces, it definitely can. But when we're dealing with our opposite principle, it can challenge us to embrace those sides of ourselves more, which for Pisces, embracing the more Virgoian side can be a bit of a challenge. And Scorpio, even though it's your fellow water sign, I do find that Scorpio can be a little bit too, I don't know, Pisces is capable of going into the deep, dark depths as well, but it's in kind of a different way. Again, observationally, I've seen Scorpio and Piscean relationships range all the way from the most destructive possible connection to one of the best possible connections. But it definitely is a challenge for Pisces and Scorpio. If you can get past those challenges, then it can go incredibly deep and incredibly far. All right, Pisces, let's get you some oracles. Let's start with some astrology for my Piscean friend. So it's so hard for me to rein back how deep I want to go in these explorations. These are very topical, of course, but we're dealing with the holidays. We're keeping it light. Pisces, the 12th house. It's your house. But I like how it's where everything falls into alignment. Mind, body, soul. In fact, all of the chakras come into alignment because it's the last house. It's where we begin again. Next year is a massive year for you, Pisces. You've had Saturn in your sign for 2.5 years, and you've had Neptune, your ruling planet, there for 11. Next year in your birthday season, they're both going to enter Aries, and it's going to change your world, Pisces. A lot of your dreams could be coming into reality. It's like a brand new adventure. What? We have Neptune, your dreams coming into reality, Pisces. We have your house and your sign right there, or your ruling planet. The sun is finally reaching. Maybe I'll actually wake up. Okay, Pisces, let's get you a sacred rebel. Excuse me. My throat. For Pisces, what do we have? You get come to life. I put it back in the middle of the deck. You could be dealing with a Capricorn. But remember what I was saying about reinvention with the 12th house? For you, Pisces, too, you could have been doing a lot of hiding out this year. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'll see if I can edit that out. You could have been doing a lot of hiding out this year. This year, we did have Saturn in your sign. We had Neptune, like I said, which has been 11 years. But also, so again, your dreams being held back, your visions being held back with Saturn, learning tough lessons. Pisces, you also had the North Node in your sign this year. And next year, the energy of that is going to unfold. The year that the North Node is in your sign is like a setting up year. And the following year is where you see the action and the unfolding. So next year for you, Pisces, painting yourself back to life. Again, that curious monkey there. Could be dealing with a Capricorn next year. What did I do from here? We got a major only? No, we're doing romance. For Pisces, what's coming up for Pisces? Self-respect. Well, look how there's a couple in this. No, he's by himself. I'm sorry. He's holding a staff like the hermit, like Virgo energy, and he's climbing that golden path towards ascension. So next year, you could be operating in the world from a deeper sense of self-respect, a newfound sense of who you are. Surviving Saturn in your sign can definitely bring that for you. Okay. But that could be you moving towards a relationship that really fosters that sense of self-respect. Why am I going? Okay, I'll do the talisman. This is just me. I'm just always this scattered. We'll do 2 talisman and I'll get you a major arcana, Pisces. Yeah, finding love. Exactly. Oh, Pisces. Look at the 2 seahorse. They mate for life. And what I love about seahorses is that the male-female combination is kind of neutralized. The men actually help carry the babies. It's beautiful. Very symbiotic. Finding love next year. Nice. From that place of self-respect. And then concealment. Interesting, because I said maybe you've been doing a lot of hiding out lately. Okay. But it also, maybe it's like this has been kind of hidden from you for now. And next year it's going to come to the surface. All right, let's get you a major arcana, Pisces. We have charity. Now that's a bonus in this deck. It's number 24. Charity and self-respect. It could be, Pisces, in part of your reinvention. Maybe you are embracing that side of yourself. Pisces, I'm stuttering with it because Pisces are very charitable people. But anyway, okay. And then we have death and rebirth, Scorpio energy. Interesting. Okay, we got the wheel on the bottom. There's Jupiter. All right, Pisces, that's what I have for you, my friends. I hope it was helpful. And we will move on to Aries. Let me see, Aries. What do we have? Where did I put that? Oh, okay. Aries. Aries, cardinal fire. You're the first sign of the zodiac. I call Aries the superhero. You guys have heard me say that before, because it requires an incredible amount of courage and belief in yourself to blaze a new trail. And that is always what Aries is tasked with, because you're the first sign, you're the first house. You are the fire bringer, the soul's arrival here on earth. Many Aries are very oriented towards leadership for that reason. And I love that about Aries. I'm a Cancerian, so I'm a cardinal sign. And even though we're square, there tends to be this kind of interaction when I get with an Aries where we very much amp each other up. It can be very exciting, very adventurous, and very passionate. In the major arcana, Aries is the emperor and the tower. Tower brings in that Mars energy of necessary change. And Aries is super capable of that. Again, the first sign. If something's got to change, Aries, you're usually the first one front and center to say, let's go, let's do it. I don't want to be held down by anything. And the emperor is the same, right? It's about dominion over your own life. And so what you want for your world, Aries, I am, what you want is very, very dominant because you have the vision, because you're the one who has to blaze the trail towards it. So that sense of belief in yourself is essential. Oh, I wanted to bring up something funny, a funny phenomenon with me and Aries, actually. I am very symbiotic with Aries feminines and the masculines, but observedly in my life, the only time where I get that like nervous, stuttery, kind of off center energy about me is when I'm dealing with an Aries masculine. I don't know why. There's just such a, in a good way, there's such a powerfulness to the energy that, again, in the feminines too, but when presented with masculines, it's just something I notice that I get visibly shaky from the energy of it. Mars is your ruler, and it's a very powerful energy. It is the god of war, yeah, but it's also about accomplishment, ambition, sexual energy, and all of that's packed into the little fireball that is Aries. Aries are very smart, very ambitious, and inspirational leaders. At its highest form, Aries can show other people the fire within them, and it's a very beautiful thing. They are fun. Again, let's go, let's do it. They can generally be the life of the party, but sometimes only for a little while. The crash factor of Aries is quite strong because of that. Brave, expressive, and very persuasive. A lot of Arians go into politics and leadership positions, but they can be very creative as well in a similar sense. Is the magnetism and the self-belief and the fire that people are attracted to. More than that, for me with Aries, what I love is that they are lovers of that energy in other people. They're really good at seeing your qualities and bringing them out in you. So for Aries are often surrounded not only by the arts, but by artists because they appreciate the emotional honesty of art. They appreciate the passion of art. Some of the greatest artistic patrons are Aries and have been throughout history, wanting to be supportive of that kind of energy. It's one of my favorite things about Aries. They're surprisingly philosophical, all of that said, too. Not because they're not intelligent, but because they're very action taking, which is why it surprises me. But again, the first house of the zodiac, there can be a very philosophical point of view on what needs to be created going forward. They benefit from a very calm home environment because of that internal Mars energy. But very rarely are Aries raised with a calm home environment from an early age. And so it can be about embracing that sense of calm within you. A lot of times with Aries energy, because you are so take charge, you are so capable and fiery and passionate, you can end up carrying kind of the responsibility for the family on that level. And that can be challenging at an early age. So later in life, it can be about balancing out your Aries side with your Libra side. I hope that makes sense. A lot of Aries will resist partnership as well because of that, because of the early childhood stuff. Later in life, again, it becomes very important for Aries to have a calm home environment to operate from so they can bounce out there into the world and spread their fire like they do. But you need a place to smolder, right, Aries? Okay. Next year is huge for you, Aries, because Saturn and Neptune are moving from Pisces into Aries. And so the vision for what's being created falls in your lap. You're going to be blazing a trail once more. And I know that you can do it, Aries. All right, the signs I like best in relationship for Aries is Taurus. And rarely, one of the rules in astrology is that you don't want to be romantically involved with the sign on either side of you. In fact, I find that generally untrue, especially when we're dealing with Taurus and Aries. I've known 3 Taurus Aries couples in both gender combinations, and in all 3 cases, very long-term marriages and relationships. Aries and Taurus can be incredibly dedicated to each other. They form a great partnership. We're dealing, right? Aries ruled by Mars, Taurus ruled by Venus. So we have Venus and Mars dealing with each other there. Naturally, that balance can be hard to find, but once it is, it can make for an ideal partnership. I like Pisces for you, so it's funny, Aries. I picked the 2 signs on either side of you, which is the rule, right? But I like Pisces for you because they can bring that sense of inner calm into your world. They're also very patient. And also, most Pisceans are dreamers and artists. And what I said about Aries, you could find that very inspiring. And you could love that they bring that out in you as well. And the deepest, Scorpio. I'm just going to leave it there. Scorpio is co-ruled by Mars, Aries, like you are. Let's just say that activity in the intimate level between a Scorpio and an Aries can be quite off the chart. But because of that, so can the arguments. So it's like you can see each other on a very deep level, but it can be very combative and passionate for better or worse, but always very deep. With a Scorpio and an Aries, Scorpio brings out that depth in Aries. Challenging, Sagittarius, yeah. I mean, I could do a whole video on that. You're both fire signs, you're both leaders, you both like to stand in your own autonomy, and naturally speaking, that can, coming together on a project or something, it can be a lot of tempers. Let's just say that. Capricorn is a challenge for Aries too, because of that Saturnian energy. They can be a little bit too serious all the time for an Aries. They can be a little bit too traditional and stuck in the mud kind of energy, if you will. Sometimes for Aries, that can be a bit of a challenge. Okay. So next year is a big year for you. Okay, let me see. Let's get your oracles, Aries. Let's start off with astrology for Aries. What do we have for my Aries? We have the 7th house. Aries, it's your opposite house. It's Libra. It's the house of long-term relationship and intimate partnerships. So relationships and commitments could be a big focus for you, Aries. And then we have the progressions or the journey that came out with that. Well, you could be working on your relationships next year. It could be that relationships are deepening or moving to a different level. But I like the progressions coming in because we have Saturn and Neptune progressing out of Pisces and into your sign. For some of you, this could have to do with work and how you earn your money as well. Could be going into partnership. Partnerships live in the 7th house too. All right, Aries, let's get you a sacred rebel for my Aries. Dream a beautiful dream. There you go, Aries. Dream a beautiful dream. I love it. Number 19, so we add it. That is the number 10. We reduce it. We get the number 1. First sign, first house of the zodiac. Number 1, Aries. Dream a beautiful dream brings that Pisces energy into the picture for me as well. I like that. Okay, and again, number 10, next year is a 10-year. So that could be coming into play. All right, Aries, what did we do now? We did. Let's do a majors only for Aries. You get 2. You get the star, Aquarius energy. And that's interesting. The star is 17. Never mind. Anyway, the star is about hope. It's about healing. It's about a refined vision, but also reaching for a star. And I have a lot here about your career expanding. Dream a beautiful dream. Reach for the star. Nice. And then we have the devil, Saturn energy. Could be dealing with a Capricorn. But the devil is about the things that hold us back. Keep that in mind. Can be toxic patterns. It can be addictions. It can be things that hold us down, family values, all stuff like that. So for a lot of you, Aries, it can be about getting out of a certain mindset and allowing yourself to dream that beautiful dream next year, to reach for the star. Okay. Let's get you a love card, Aries. What do we have for my Aries? You get self-respect as well. Interesting. And you could be dealing with a Piscean, but self-respect, dream a beautiful dream, reach for the star. I don't know what that devil energy was for you last year, Aries, but it's going away in the coming year. Okay, but you're breaking free of those bonds of whatever was holding you back. Let's get you some talisman for Aries. Get mindfulness. I'm putting these back in the center of the deck, you guys. Plus, they only jump. But self-respect, dream a beautiful dream. It can be about keeping that close to yourself right now, too. Look at that. Creativity, Aries. Love it for you. One more. And then healing energy. There's the star. Aries, a lot of you could be stepping into your role as healers in the collective here. How beautiful. All right, let's put these, do we get everything? Yeah. Let's put these away and we will move to Taurus. My Taurians, interesting Taurus. Interesting times for you. Taurus. Taurus is fixed earth. Yes, we know, stubborn. But also Taurians are incredibly nurturing energy and constant and steadfast because of that. You're ruled by Venus, Taurus, so I'm sure you know that. Venus rules love, of course, and harmony, but also it rules money and how we make our money. And it rules the arts. It rules music and creativity. Venus it has a lot of sides to it. I'm sure you're well aware of that, Taurus. But mostly when it comes to Taurians, it has to do with beauty and comfort and safety in life. You're the second house. That's the house of how we make our money. It's the house of day jobs. But it's also the house of the comforts in life, which is what Taurus represents. I'm still getting past my cold. It's almost gone. Your opposite sign is Scorpio. One of the challenges for Taurus can be embracing that sense of risk, because along with wanting everything to be comfortable and safe, well, you don't want to risk it, right? And Scorpio always asks you to go deeper and to be safer. You have to mind the shadows, and that can be a bit of a challenge. Taurus is the hidden psychic of the zodiac. I always say that because you are fixed earth and you are so earthy. You don't advertise your psychic abilities. They just happen naturally on a day-to-day basis. Again, your opposite sign is Scorpio, which is the psychic. And so it can be like, I see Taurus, my sister's a Taurus. I have a lot of Taurians. I have a Taurus moon. Taurians are the organic, the earthbound psychics. And like I said, that tends to direct your life, whether you know it or not. And I witness some of the most magical occurrences when I'm in contact with Taurians. They are loyal, they're lovers of art and beauty and food and sex and music. It's all good stuff with Taurus energy. But they can get down and dirty because, again, their opposite sign is Scorpio. Taurians are capable of partying unlike no other. Trust me on that one. They can actually be quite adventurous and quite outgoing, followed by a long period of a downtime, but they definitely have that side to them. I love having adventures with my Taurian friends. We tend to think alike, and we have a lot of fun together because of that. Okay. The funny part about the psychic and the wild part of Taurus is that a lot of Taurians can come across on the surface as being incredibly poised, dignified, and proper. And then below that is the soul of a Scorpio. It's very surprising and lovely. They're incredibly strong and resilient. Of course, fixed earth. Think about the bull, right? Incredibly strong energy. And that can swing both ways. I always say with Taurus, that male or female, that quote, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, must be about a Taurian, again, regardless of gender. Think about the bull and the red flag. Now, bulls are a very calm energy until you amp them up, and then, oh, look out, right? And that's Taurus. And they will not release their focus. Scorpio and Taurus axis right there. I love that about them too. They can be very physically protective of you as a friend within your family group or as a partner. Taurus, again, fixed earth, very physical. They want to make sure that you're comfortable, that you're safe, that you have enough to eat, that you have warm enough clothes. That's very Taurian. And ideally that you're surrounded by beautiful things and beautiful people. I like that about them too. They have creative skill across the board. Taurians, again, male or female, dominate the music industry. There are so many Tauruses in music. And I think it is because of that Venusian quality. But Taurians, again, fine art painters, tons of Tauruses that are into fine art as well. Any discipline of art, a lot of dancers are Taurians. Earth, right? You physicalize the energy. Very nurturing too. The challenge can definitely be a mental and emotional flexibility. Fixed Earth, I think Taurus is one of the most fixed signs of the four, right? So embracing that flexibility and that sense of change definitely can. And speaking of that, we've had Uranus, the planet of change, in your sign. I think Uranus spends 7 years. Now, Uranus rules your opposite sign of Aquarius, so it's square energy to you, and it's upheaval, and it's sudden change. And it's where kind of all of the things that you once relied on are shaken up, because it is time for change. And Uranus has been sitting on the precipice of leaving your sign for all of 2025. So Taurus, next year, it finally does. It finally leaves your sign and move into Gemini. A lot of you could be moving or finding a new community group, a new friendship group, that kind of thing. 2025 for Taurus has been definitely a year of upheaval and change. Next year, that's going to change quite a lot for you. Things should settle down, and you should find yourself in a lot more symbiotic of a friendship environment or a community environment. For a lot of you, it can have to do with sibling issues as well, or family. Next year brings about a lot of change for you. All right. The best signs, I think, for Taurus, well, Pisces. Pisces, because they're able to bring that emotional calm and that safety to you. They're very patient energies. They like food, they like beauty, they like music, they like all that stuff. There could be a minor challenge of a Piscean not being quite grounded enough, but Taurus, you can definitely bring that to the table. I like Capricorn for Taurus again, because of that daddy energy. You're ruled by Venus. Capricorn can bring safety, structure, a sense of mastery over the outside world. Taurus can too. Capricorn's the 10th house, which is the house of our career. It's the house of like our legacy. Where Taurus, you're in the second house, so kind of day job, how you make your money, how you spend your money. Both signs are very much about money. And when a Taurus and Capricorn come together, we're talking massive power couple potential. Okay. I like Aries for Taurus too. I mentioned that in the Aries one. For depth, I would go with Cancer. Well, needless to say, Cancer is a water sign, but it is the house of the home, and it's the house of the mother. It's very symbiotic with Taurian energy for that reason. And together, you can bring a lot of emotional depth and nurturing into a long-term relationship. I think it's a beautiful combination. Not without its challenges, of course, because of the depths that it can go to. With your opposite sign being Scorpio, Cancer, Scorpio, you bring those two together, you have an emotional depth that is endless. And a challenge for me would be Aquarius. I mentioned that in Aquarius's reading, but also Libra. Your fellow Venus sign, Libra, is a much different expression of Venus than you are. Again, Taurus wants the earthier side of Venus, where Libra can be about beauty for the sake of beauty or love for the sake of love. And Taurus is like, no, what are we going to actually use this energy to grow with, to make things with, and to nurture a supportive environment with? You are the Empress in the major arcana, Taurus. And so it's about transmuting energy into physical growth. Taurians are very capable of doing that, but can be challenged with Libra. I find, and it's not true necessarily of Libra, keep this in mind when I talk about astrology, but I do find that Taurus can look at Libra and be like, that's a self-indulgent use of the love energy. It's kind of like they're too will-o'-the-wisp, but they're a little too floaty for a Taurus. I'm not saying it can't work. It definitely can, but it is a challenge. All right, Taurus, let's get you some cards. Let's start off with some astrology for my Taurian friends. What do we have for Taurus? And we have the third house, the house of communication. So next year could find you in a lot more working on your communication with people, working on how well you harmonize with others and how well you assert your needs. Look at that. We got Saturn coming in. Interesting. Saturn is all about structure. Okay. And remember when I said, Taurus, for a lot of you, there's been a lot of upheaval and change? Well, this can actually be bringing some discipline and some stability into your life next year. Okay, let's do a sacred rebel for Taurus. We have dream a beautiful dream. Aries got that. I love it. Yeah, dream a beautiful dream. That's Taurus energy about what's possible for you once this Uranus change finally takes place. And then we have the power of attraction. That's nice. Could be attracting in a lot of things next year in your new world, Taurus. It's funny that communication is coming through because Gemini rules communication in the zodiac, and next year Uranus, which is where it is in your sign right now, is going to move into Gemini. So it could be some communication that's in long held back Saturn coming through here for you about a dream that you once had, maybe you're creating something together. Let's get you a love card for Taurus. But look at how there's masculine, feminine here. Both of them, each one of them with one hand on that ball of chi. Chivalry, Taurus. That's so much your energy. I love it. Taurians are the chivalrous gentlemen of the zodiac. Look at this. He's got like that. He's even wearing a cape. He's all dashing. He's got a bouquet of roses here. Chivalry. And there could be somebody new coming in for you, Taurus. A rescuer. That, and I know that doesn't, well, you're probably like, yeah, bring it on. At this point, you've just survived Uranus in your sign for a long time. But the power of attraction, you could be pulling in a protector. You could be pulling in somebody who could actually want to help make your life a better place. Imagine that, Taurus. Okay. Let's get a major. Get charity. Could be dealing with a Pisces, and I said they could be coming in to make your life a better place. But this could also be you in that role of charity, offering it out to your family, to your friends. Usually, Taurus, you are. Charity is about being emotionally charitable as well. And then we have the wheel. Next year, Jupiter energy. The wheel of fortune is destiny. And next year is the number 10, which is the year of the wheel. Destiny in motion. All right, let's get you some talisman. We have Luna, the moon. Dream a beautiful dream, Taurus. Dreams happen under the moon, but they also, something's been hidden for now. Eternal charisma. Eternal charisma is about finding that sense of self, that fire in you again. And then we have mindfulness. Taurus, you definitely could be dealing with a Capricorn. That's interesting. We have success on the bottom of the deck. So this could be you, again, being very careful about how you proceed in the next year, because it looks like your abundance is about to grow. I love it for you, Taurus. All right, you guys, you know what? I actually have to stop the reading here. I have something else to do this afternoon, and this went much longer than I thought. But I will do the remaining zodiac signs as we move through the holidays, I promise. Gemini, you're up next in the next reading. I'm just running out of time is all. All right, my friends, I hope that was helpful. I hope it was fun for you in some way. Let me know. It's so hard, once again, for me to rein myself back. I want to go deeper and deeper. But this is a few of my favorite things, right? I love you guys. I hope you're having a good holiday. I'll see you soon. Namaste.